Every January, one name hijacks the whole window, and suddenly your club is close until it isn't. When the price spikes or rivals jump the queue, smart teams don't panic, they pivot. Here's the clean plan B for the hottest targets right now. First target, Antoine Semenyo. He's the hottest winter target right now because his situation is unusually clean. Bournemouth have to accept if the clause is triggered and the clock is ticking. His release clause is £60 million plus £5 million in add-ons, and it's only active early in the window, often reported as valid until around January 10th. And the output matches the noise. He's already Premier League proven with 8 goals and 3 assists this season, which is why basically the whole top shelf is circling. Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea have all been mentioned as interested. According to Fabrizio Romano's latest update, Semenyo is expected to move in January. City look like they've got real momentum, so we know that this one won't drag into the deadline day. So if your club can't get Semenyo, here's the clear plan B list. If it's Manchester United missing out, they can go for Magnus Aklush from Monaco. United don't just need speed, they need someone who can connect attacks and make the final pass feel less forced. Aklush is that creator pivot. He's had 5 goal contributions in League One so far, with 0.37 goal involvement per 90. Monaco have him tied down until June 2028, so they don't need to sell, but they're the type of club that will talk if the offer helps fund incoming business. For Chelsea, also look at Akliouche, but for a different reason. Chelsea tend to buy multi-role attackers who can play wide, drift inside and keep moves alive. He's not Semenyo's direct power runner, but he upgrades control in the final third without needing a total tactical reset. And now, what about Liverpool? If they miss Semenyo, the obvious pivots are Bradley Barcola and Nico Williams. Liverpool and Arsenal are basically shopping in the same aisle, a winger who can stretch teams, win 1v1s and create when the game gets tight. Both guys can progress the ball and shock defenders. The catch is price. Nico is on that new long-term deal to 2035, and Athletic confirmed the clause jumped 50% plus into roughly €90 million territory. If Liverpool are willing to pay though, it's a possible catch because it's a straight trigger it and go situation. If it's Arsenal missing out, again, Nico still fits, but Iliman Ndiaye, Everton, is another interesting option. He's EPL proven with 4 goals and 2 assists, around 0.40 goal involvement per 90. With him, you get pressing energy, ball carrying and chaos in tight games, a frontline disruptor. Some reports said Everton will budge if it's a massive fee, so if Arsenal push a number Everton can't ignore, it becomes doable. For Tottenham, Nico's and Ndiaye's price tags might be too brutal, so their option is Omar Marmoush on loan. We all know how good he can be. He's under contract until 2029, so a permanent deal is hard, but if City's rotation and his injury issues keep limiting minutes, a short-term loan is the kind of compromise that can actually happen for Spurs. If you're tired of hearing "here we go" hype just for your club to end up with a random deadline day gamble, hit like and subscribe. We'll keep breaking down the real transfer news this window. Now, let's move to our second target, the most wanted Premier League proven defender on the list, Marc Guéhi. He checks every box that makes big clubs move fast, captain profile, England starter level, and the contract squeeze is real. His Palace deal runs to June 30th, 2026, which means from January 1st, 2026, he can legally negotiate a pre-contract with other clubs, so Palace are staring at that classic cash now or lose leverage later dilemma. And the performance is exactly why the market's loud. 6 clean sheets in 16 plus 1.75 tackles, 1.19 interceptions and 5.12 clearances per 90 in the league this season. That's why you keep seeing the same short list of suitors pop up, Liverpool and Manchester City especially, with Bayern and even Barcelona mentioned in the wider chase. And there's also the fact that Oliver Glasner has said he expects Guéhi to stay until the end of the season, which makes a mid-season move unlikely unless someone drops a serious fee and Palace have an instant replacement ready. So if your club misses him this month, the pivot is simple. One quality alternative based on 2 things. Can they do Guéhi's job, and are they even remotely gettable in January? If it's Liverpool missing out, they can go for Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. Liverpool's links to Bastoni keep popping up for a reason. He's that calm, top-level, left-sided centre-back who can defend the box and progress the ball. On pure output, he fits. 2.28 tackles, 0.95 interceptions, 3.16 clearances per 90. Inter don't like selling core defenders mid-season, but if Liverpool want a Guehi-level solution, Bastoni is the closest profile upgrade, and Bastoni might be interested for a new challenge in the Premier League. For Manchester City, the pivot is Dayot Upamecano from Bayern. City can actually make high-friction deals real because they can pay and move fast. Upamecano also makes sense for how City defend: high line, space behind, recovery pace needed. And with his contract also expiring next June, he's in that contract timeline zone where clubs at least test the waters. 1.77 tackles, 1.00 interceptions, 2.66 clearances per 90, definitely elite. But what about Bayern and Barcelona? They should go for Castello Luqueba from RB Leipzig. Luqueba is the clean Guehi pivot because he's modern, quick across the ground, and Leipzig are one of the few clubs who will actually do business in January if the fee is right. For Bayern, this is probably more attractive since Luqueba is already Bundesliga proven. Odilon Kosunu from Atalanta is also an interesting option. He's the more physical, athletic alternative, a defender who can defend space and still hold up in duels. The issue is that this situation involves a three-way handshake. He's a new Atalanta signing from last summer, joining from Leverkusen on a loan with an option to buy. In theory, clubs can approach Leverkusen to end the loan early and complete a sale in January. Complicated, but for a truly serious offer from Bayern, who knows? One more twist: if Bastoni is ever genuinely available, don't assume it's only Liverpool in the race. Bayern, Barcelona and even more top clubs would absolutely be the type to swoop in for a defender of that level because that profile doesn't hit the market often. But for some clubs, missing a striker in January doesn't just sting, it drags your whole attack down. That's why this next target matters. He brings goals, presence and real fear up front. Ivan Toney. Toney is the shortcut clubs chase when they want instant goals and instant authority in the box. He's been linked with a Premier League return, with Tottenham, West Ham and Manchester United all discussed in reports, and Everton also name-checked as having looked at the situation. But here's why this deal is way more complicated than fans think. Al Ahly don't want to sell mid-season, and the money side, his massive Saudi wages and tax exemptions, makes a January exit harder than fans think. So, if your club can't get Ivan Toney, here are the most gettable pivots. Manchester United could go for Juventus's Dusan Vlahovic. His Juventus deal runs to June 2026, so a January exit is definitely possible, and his output still screams goals. The catch? He's currently injured and will only be available around March. The catch is obvious: he's currently injured and only expected to return in March. So you're basically buying him for the run-in, then save us next week. Another alternative is Dortmund's Serhou Guirassy is the more available now alternative. He gives you box presence, finishing, and that classic number 9 threat United lacks when games get tight, and his playstyle may suit Sesko better than Vlahovic, but he's not a cheap, easy January pull. Reports said that he has a release clause tied to summer 2026, and only certain top clubs can trigger it. Yet, in this window, he's still possible for United if Dortmund chooses to negotiate for more money. For Tottenham, also go for Serhou Guirassy. Spurs don't just need a finisher, they need a number 9 who can turn pressure into box chaos. 5 goals with 0.45 goal involvement per 90 in Bundesliga, with 0.42 expected goals per 90, he fits Spurs' needs. Again, however, this won't be an easy negotiation. If it's West Ham and Everton missing out, they should go for Wolves' Jurgen Strand Larsen. This one is within reach because it's already being talked about in real numbers. Multiple outlets have reported Wolves' stance as a £40 million valuation, and West Ham have been linked, with the price described as the main sticking point. And that's why it works as a January pivot. Wolves aren't saying not for sale, they're basically saying pay our number. So if West Ham or everyone wants a deal that can realistically move fast with no long saga and no release clause drama, this is the one. That's it for today's video. If you want more transfer updates all January, hit like and subscribe, and drop your club in the comments so I can build the next pivot list around the names you're actually being linked with. And don't miss the next Goal 90 video. See you there.